Welcome, all you beautiful people. Thank you so much for being here. This routine is going to be a pretty quick one, and it's meant to bring our focus to our wrists and our ankles, these two joints that keep us moving and do so much for us throughout every day. We're going to be getting into the whole body, but focusing mostly on these little areas within bigger poses. So we're going to get started right in a seat, and we're going to bring both legs out in front of us and take a moment to find posture. So you might notice right away your low back wants to round, and if it does, bend your knees a little bit so that you can lift your chest up in front of you, bringing your hands right behind the knees, point those ankles, and then pull them back. So you'll feel a little stretch if you really point those feet like you're trying to touch your toes to the ground, especially if those legs are straight. It'll be even harder to point those toes down to try to flatten your foot. But again, bending the knees as much as you need to have good posture, and then point and pull a few times back and forth, just feeling the space through that joint. Okay, one more big breath. And then we're going to work on hugging our legs. So sliding your hands underneath the knees. So definitely need to bend them a little bit to work on maybe grabbing opposite wrist or trying to really sneak them under and grab opposite elbows. So we're now letting our back round here, letting our shoulders shrug, creating space, hooking those fingers and wrists around those elbows, or just getting a good grip on the forearm. And with a relaxed neck, start to straighten your legs. Nice and slow, you can kind of scooch one out at a time. And just see if you can keep your connection, trying to keep your chest and belly close to those thighs. Keep the neck relaxed. You might be able to straighten your legs enough to where you're pressing your knees into your arms, pressing your arms into the floor with that pressure of the legs. Letting it pull you down, just letting go against gravity now. We'll take one more deep breath. Very good, nice and slow. Start to sit up, unravel, and hug your right knee into your chest. So you're just squeezing it in tight, putting your foot right in front of your hip, and I'm going to offer a little challenge pose that really adds stability in the ankle as well as mobility. Seeing if you can reach your arms forward, press your weight into your foot, and you might be able to lift into the bottom of a pistol squat and then just lower back down. So it's there for you if you want to try it, or just see how close you can get. And then take that leg as you sit back down and cross it over the other leg. So notice your hip might want to lift off the ground. You're going to try to keep it on the ground as you find good posture again, and just give it a nice little squeeze. And all we're trying to do is give ourselves a nice hug. Make sure you can roll out that ankle on the straight foot. And you want to feel it in the hip, in the glute. Nice big squeeze there. Maybe a little twist, bringing opposite shoulder towards that knee. And then we're going to twist the other direction. So we're going to come off to the edge, to the left side, where our right foot is across the left leg. And you might scoot your hip. So now we want to lift up that right hip as we bring our left hand behind the body and right hand in front of the shin. So it's like we're doing a push-up off to the side of our mat or to our left side with our right foot also down to help support us. And similar to that pistol squat, you might be able to lift your hips off the ground by pressing through that foot, really tucking that back elbow in like you're doing a push-up on that side, okay? So that's optional to lift, or just lean and feel weight in the arm and foot. And it's optional also to reach your right hand, the one that's more light and free, for your toes. Seeing if you can reach in front of your shin, get a nice big stretch there for one more breath. Good, nice and slow, unravel. Take this foot to the inside of the left thigh. Adjust if needed. Inhale to sit up tall. And then exhale to fold over that straight leg. Reaching for toes, creating a nice little side stretch, or just folding any way that feels best. Nice and slow, we'll start to sit back up and just switch sides. So both legs switch. Right leg is straight, left leg is in tight. So we're just giving it a squeeze first, seeing if we can back the foot up towards the hips. Reach our hands forward. Maybe you can add weight. Notice one side's definitely easier or harder than the other. My body's not going up on this side. So take a big breath, relax the hips, cross the foot over the other leg. So we're hugging that left knee into the chest now, big squeeze, hooking our wrists, playing with our ankle, roll it out. And then find a little twist. So really hug, but keep both hip points on the ground. Just get a nice little rotation. Big squeeze, feel it in the glute as well, opening up. And then we'll start to turn to the right side. Turn our hands, our body off to that side. Little counter twist. And we pivot our toes as well to that long edge of the mat and scooch our hips back as we lift that left hip off the ground. We bring the right hand to the side and lean into that little push-up. So left hand's free to move around and play. But we're leaning into that little push-up, tucking that right elbow. Option to reach your left hand in front of that shin for your foot. Out on those toes in front of you on the straight leg. Take one more big breath. You might be able to lift your hips off the ground. And then we'll slowly come back up. Unraveling, bringing the sole of that left foot to the inside of the thigh now. So just opening up, let that knee drop down. Big inhale to sit up straight. And then exhale to fold. Take another little breath, just to lean and breathe. Good, nice and slow. As we come back up, we bring our straight leg back, and then we just side saddle around for tabletop position. So take a moment to shake out the hips. Little side stretch from side to side. Think of a snake slithering through the grass. So just creating little side bends. And we'll back up our hands a little bit. As we roll out our ankles, you can lift your feet right up. Then you can try to pivot your hips as well. Feet go out, feet go in. I'm noticing a huge difference on each side of my body there. And as we tuck our toes, we're going to add weight into those feet by shifting our hips back into those tucked toes. Now your hands can back up even more. And then you can try to lift your knees off the ground into this tight yogi squat or toe squat with the knees wide. And it might add a stretch in the toes or in the arches of the feet. And then you can play with it by shifting the knees back down and then lifting the knees back up. Maybe it feels better to keep the knees kind of low to the ground or on the ground and rock your hips from left to right, getting into all 10 toes. Very good. We're going to come forward to tabletop. And this time we'll take our traditional cat and cow. Inhale to dip the belly down, gaze high. And exhale to round the back, tuck the chin. We'll take 2 more here. Good. Now we're going to get into those wrists a little more. So we're going to rotate them both 90 degrees away from each other. So both fingertips point out to the side. And your shoulders are still right over the wrists. We're just going to shift left to right. Now this can be a nice wrist stretch. And if you don't feel much, Then take your time to still yourself in the middle and continue rotating those fingertips all the way back. And instead of shifting side to side, which is an option, if that feels good, to make this deeper, just shift forward and backward. We'll get a big stretch in those wrists. So 2 options. Just do what feels most needed and best for you, most achievable. Continuing to breathe. And we'll take one more breath option if both wrists are flipped to either side to round the back like a cat. And then to roll the spine into cat. One more time. Reverse cat-cows. Very good. We'll slowly undo those wrists. Nice and easy. Bring your knees together. Untuck the toes this time to shift the hips back. Now this can be a big stretch for the ankles as well as the knees. So if you're feeling it more in the knees and quads, then just take your time, keep your hands down to add that weight. If that all feels fine and you want more of a stretch in your ankles, then bring your heels from falling out to the sides and just try to tuck them closer together. So your feet are really pointed on the tops and your heels are also trying to come together. So you're really right on top of them. Maybe the hands can come up to the lap or to heart. If you can bring your hands up, then we'll continue rolling out the wrists as we stretch out the ankles, clasping the hands together and creating just a little wrist circle. Just kind of rolling the forearms and creating these little rotations, this little figure 8, switching the direction if you wish, if it feels good. One more time. Okay, last but not least, we're going to come down the table again and find a fist right into the mat or the floor. Hopefully your floor is not too hard. Of course, you can just go palm flat if it is. Or find something that's a little cushiony so this doesn't hurt, right? We're not adding too much weight, but we're in our tabletop and you can add as much weight as you'd like into those knuckles, really squeezing a tight fist. And then all we're gonna do is rock the wrist. So you lift the front finger up and then you press back down and lift the pinky up. So you don't need to add much weight, but you can add more if you wanna work that stretch even more. That activation to control these little wrist rocks, side to side, working the sides of the forearm. Okay, and if that feels pretty good and you want even more, you can step your feet out to a plank, holding all your weight in those hands, and take quicker little rocks forward and backward. This is a nice wrist strengthening exercise. Toes tucked. One more breath. And then slowly come back down. Cross the ankles and find an easy seat. Any way that works for you to sit up nice and straight. And we're going to play with one more that targets both the fingers and toes all at the same time to finish up. And it is a little funky, but it helps us learn a lot about our feet. What we're going to do is bring one foot, whichever foot's more forward, out in front, and see if you can interlace your fingers between each toe. So it might just be 2 fingers, right? You might be able to really space out the toes and get all 5 fingers in between, and see if you can kind of hold your foot as if you would hold someone's hand, or as we did when we were rolling out the wrist with all 10 fingers interlaced. And that might be enough just to get them in there, or a few fingers in there to space out the toes. Or you can actually just squeeze nice and tight and it'll be a nice stretch in the foot. And you can rock, open up the toes, space it out, the foot. One more breath there just to feel, get a good connection. And then we'll slowly slide those fingers out. So we'll switch our legs around nice and easy and just move on to the other side. And I know it's funky, but it's a primal movement, and We wear so many closed-toed shoes nowadays that keep our feet closed off, and we have pain in the arches of the feet, which travels all the way up to the knees, the hips, and the spine. So this can teach you a lot. If you are tight in those areas, it'll be very difficult to actually interlace fully and get a good grip. But take your time to feel it out, see what you got. Maybe play with bending here and there, or just squeezing. And then you're all set. So I thank you for joining me on this quick routine just to get into the hips as well as the ankles and wrists. I hope it was fun for you. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.